Rumors versus facts when it comes to the Utah Jazz. Shocking rumors yesterday that, so there was a tweet from a former radio personality here in Salt Lake that said that Rudy Gobert has demanded a trade and that he has told the Utah Jazz that it's either him or Donovan Mitchell. It's either Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. It's me or Donovan. That's the best I could do. And I have not heard that at all. So we called the agent for Rudy Gobert, who surprisingly replied. And we chatted him up about what that situation was. And he unequivocally denied that Rudy Gobert has said that. He said straight up, that's a rumor and it's not coming from Rudy Gobert. So is that the truth? I have no reason to believe that Rudy Gobert has told the Jazz that he wants to be traded, and he wants to be traded because he doesn't want to play with Donovan Mitchell anymore. So for me, I don't necessarily believe that's true. What we reported this week has not changed. We talked to our sources at the Jazz. Rudy Gobert's agent didn't want to get into what Rudy has said to the Jazz, but what we have been told is that Rudy Gobert has told the Jazz he would be open to a trade. And there are a couple of teams that he'd like to go to, and it would need to be a contender. But he would not stand in the way of a trade away from the Utah Jazz. That is far from demanding a trade, and that is far from it's me or Donovan Mitchell. So, Jake, separate truth from fact. What do you believe here?
Yeah, I think I believe that Rudy did not say, "Hey, it's me or Don." I don't take Rudy for. I just don't think that Rudy is that committed to being traded or to breaking up this team. I think that. I think every basketball player who steps onto an NBA floor is out there to win games. I think that's just a general rule of thumb. So when we start talking about Rudy and these rumors and basically the circus show that was that tweet and everything that went on yesterday, I just think it's a little ridiculous to assume that a guy like Rudy Gobert, who's getting paid what he's getting paid, wants to rock the boat and say that it's him or Don. I just don't see Rudy being that person. I do think that it is realistic, and that's the word I want to use, realistic, to think that Rudy would have said something up the alley of, hey, I'm not sitting here demanding a trade, but if something were to work out, I wouldn't stand in the way type deal. I think that's very realistic based on his feelings on how much they use him on the offensive end or the role that guys like Don or Mike play on the defensive end in addition to what he does. So that's why I say, like, I think that when I saw these rumors come out on Twitter yesterday, my first reaction was, hey, this is someone who never covers the team talking about the team, and you're sitting here saying that you have information, but you're not. In your tweet, you literally said, I'm not usually breaking news Jazz guy. And it's like, okay, so that's why I just took that with a grain of salt. And I was like, this just doesn't seem to have a ton of legs to it. And I'm not trying to tear the guy down or anything. I'm just saying that when you start kind of putting the dots together and adding things up, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that Rudy would have said those things. What makes sense is what we've reported, which is, hey, yeah, I'm not going to stand in the way of a trade, but if you do trade me, I'd love to go here or there, or wherever it may be. That makes sense to me. I think every NBA player would say that. I mean, if we're really getting down to brass tacks, I think every NBA player, if they were presented with a trade situation, would say, yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't stand in the way if I was going to the best team in the league or if I was going to this destination or that destination. So that's what I say. I don't think it's a thing where we got to say Rudy's being some petulant child or he's being some malcontent. Do him and Don have some disagreements about the defensive end and how they go about that? Sure they do. But I don't think we need to sit here and say that Rudy has just nuked this roster, because that's not what's happened at all.
No, and I think it's very easy to draw conclusions. I think it's very easy to assume that guys like Rudy Gobert, are just, they don't care, they're just flipped. But what I want to do here is help people to understand what we've said versus what's been reported. Because I think there's a lot of this going on right now. There was a lot of Quin Snyder's going to the Lakers. Quin Snyder's going to be fired. There's a lot of Donovan Mitchell's being traded and he's going to ask out and he's going to the Knicks. And you have to understand that both Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are under contract to the Utah Jazz. They really don't have any leverage whatsoever. You have to understand that a guy like Quin Snyder has 1 year left on his contract. So if he were to quit and go, I'm going to go to the Lakers, it doesn't work that way. If he quits while he's under contract, he can't just go coach any team that he wants. But people just want to throw stuff out there. And what I'm telling you is what we believe to be facts, because we've talked to people involved, people like Rudy Gobert's agent, people at the Jazz, people in NBA front offices. We've had these conversations with those people. And it's usually why I feel like we've been pretty spot on for you guys. And what I'm telling you is, from what we were told, and again, I spoke directly to Rudy Gobert's agent yesterday, he has not demanded a trade.
Facts.
He has not said it's Donovan or me. What Rudy Gobert has said is, hey, I am open to being traded. And I think that the more important part of that conversation with the Jazz is that Rudy Gobert has said, I'm unhappy with my role in the offense. I am unhappy that I am the scapegoat for the defensive struggles of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other part of this that is so important is it's not like the Jazz have just left Rudy Gobert on an island twisting defensively. They have put time and effort into helping him understand, hey, you've got to do this better, especially the pick and roll perimeter defensive part of his game, which, again, I want to make sure that you understand, I do not believe that is his fault. He's being asked to do something that he simply is not physically capable of doing, which is guard the perimeter and guard the rim at the same time.
I don't know that there's an NBA player that is. Just so we're clear.
But I think that there are guys, you look at the way the Phoneix Suns defended the Dallas Mavericks last night, and watching a good chunk of the second half of that game, you look at the way that the Phoneix Suns defended the three-point line. They were able to collapse and get out to the three-point line all in the same motion. You look at the rotations by the Phoneix Suns defensively, they dominated the Dallas Mavericks because they were able to get to the three-point shooters at the right time, in the right space, while rotating, which makes your life very difficult. The Jazz simply don't have the athletes to do that, and Rudy Gobert simply is not built to do that.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that you can ask to rotate. Bojan Bogdanovic is likely the worst offender of this, and when I say offender, that's probably a little strong. Bojan Bogdanovic simply is not an athlete enough to rotate from the corner up to the wing, back to the post, out to the corner.
Yeah.
He's just not that athlete. But you look at a guy like Mikal Bridges, he's that guy, dude.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Donovan Mitchell, he's that guy. Does Don need to get better at that? Absolutely. But he's that guy.
Yeah.
The issue is Rudy Gobert is 27 feet tall, and he is not fast. He's got really long giraffe-type legs, and that is not what you need to be able to cover multiple spots in the same rotation. So it's not his fault. But the Jazz have worked with him because he is an elite. He is the premier paint defender in this league. The issue is that teams don't attack him in the paint because they don't have to. To leverage Rudy Gobert, you need to get him out of the paint. You need to move the basketball, and we saw Dallas do that. Hell, the thing you tweeted about Jason Kidd yesterday, talking about how Jason Kidd said something to the effect of, well, we can't defend the Suns the way we defended the Jazz.
Yeah, he literally said, this isn't Gobert and Whiteside. Literally, he said, this isn't Gobert and Whiteside. These guys can get buckets. And I think that...
And DeAndre Ayton had 25 points last night.
Yeah, and so that's the tough part. Like, I think this, so this tweet comes out, and the rumor mill starts, and the circus starts on Twitter, and it's trending like most of the day. And, you start thinking about, all right, if you're Rudy Gobert and you're looking at this, what kind of position or how do you feel about this? And you see the Jason Kidd comments. I guarantee you he saw Jason Kidd's comments. And if I was Rudy, I would be saying to myself, all right, I'm spending this summer developing at least a push shot or some sort of offensive tool that I could add to my bag. Because to your point, you can't teach athleticism and speed to somebody who is just not built for that. It's an unfair ask to ask Rudy to do all of these things at his size and his length. That's just not realistic. And honestly, if we're talking about the Suns, DeAndre Ayton's not even close to the defender that Rudy Gobert is. I mean, they're in two. Rudy is miles ahead of DeAndre Ayton on the defensive end, but the trade-off is DeAndre Ayton is miles ahead of Rudy on the offensive end. So it's like, which side of the ball do you want? So the point just is that when, generally speaking, as a Jazz fan, when you get these rumors that come out, when you see these tweets, when things are being said, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're the best show ever and we're better than everyone else and we're getting everything right. But what I will say is that when someone, with all due respect, when someone tweets about the Jazz, who never tweets about the Jazz, who is not a basketball guy, right, historically, when someone like that tweets off the reservation, don't just go down that rabbit hole. Like, don't just be like, oh, well, Rudy said all this stuff and he's trying to burn it down.
And more to the point, when Rudy Gobert comes out and pretty much crushes you, and then you retweet that, I just think I don't understand the upside of that. And we've talked about this a lot when it comes to the Jazz, that I think there's a lot of issues in the media in this town. And I think this is what happens when nobody will report facts and nobody will develop relationships to the point where you can source and you can say, hey, here's what's happening. In the vacuum of good journalism, there's going to be crap like this that happens.
Yeah.
And again, I simply tell you that the stuff that we do not report, tweet, the people that we talk to would shock you. The people that, what did you say to me yesterday about?
It's incredible if you really start thinking about it. And I hope this next thing I'm going to say brings you guys perspective about what we think of our own shows. So when all this was happening yesterday, we get off the phone or, communication with Rudy's agent and, we're having all these conversations. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, dude, we're not a radio station. We don't even have a credential, right? Like, we're not with the team every single day type situation. That's not us. Yet, we have all these relationships, we get the information, and we're willing to put in the work to get information, have conversations. And the funny part about the whole thing is it's not like it takes all day.
We were talking to a certain individual yesterday who you all know that you would be surprised about. And this is not somebody we know very well. It was shocking to find out that they listen to our show.
Yeah.
It was shocking to find out they watch our show on a regular basis. And so when you start hearing that, when you start talking to people and you realize, hey, this player, this general manager, this coach,
certain people
watch our show on a regular basis, it is stunning to me that A, that's the case, but B, it's really not that surprising in the hashtag world we live in. When you realize that these guys, I gotta believe that Rudy Gobert searches his name on Twitter.
I think a lot of guys do that.
Yeah, I gotta believe that happens.
Hell, look at me. Pick on me. I'm a Kevin Durant guy. We all know Kevin Durant is soft on social media. We all know that he looks up on Twitter himself and he does that whole game.
We all know that Kevin Durant uses burner accounts because his feelings get hurt.
Facts.
You're not wrong, dude. That's what I'm saying,
We know
dude.
that Kevin Durant has them.
Like, how many guys, whether we're talking players, agents, front office guys, like whoever you want to look at, how many of these guys in the league have burner accounts just so that they can follow stuff and keep up with the news cycle without people knowing?
Man, I'm telling you, all of these guys have burner accounts. All of them.
Yeah.
Every single one
of
them.
And look, to be honest with you, I'm not even coming from the standpoint of that's a bad thing. I don't think it's some travesty to have a burner account.
No.
So you can fly under the radar. I respect the hell out of that. But I guess my thing yesterday was just that I couldn't believe that you have, like, I love Tony Jones's work. I think he does phenomenal work. The way he writes, the way he goes about it, he does a phenomenal job. But generally speaking, in the Salt Lake media, that's what stood out to me. Like, hey, dude, we don't have a credential. Like, we don't have the ability to sit in front of Justin Zanuck the other day and ask him, like, hey, you're talking about all this cohesiveness and camaraderie on the team,
Yeah.
and how you have all this, yet you haven't won a damn thing. So what are you going to do about it this offseason? We don't have that ability. Like, the only ability we have is the relationships we have, DirecTV and YouTube.
That's it.
Yet we're beating these guys, and that's what's crazy to me.
Because I think that there is a real issue in the effort that is made in the media here. And I think that when you work around a team like the Jazz, the hard part is that you're so insecure about getting shut out that you need to be independent to truly do that work.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see people like the Salt Lake Tribune, people at the flagship station, people at, KSL, like, they're never going to break news because they don't want that smoke from the Jazz.
That was the other thing. That was the other thing yesterday that I was so shocked about. Yesterday, you have KSL Sports putting out an article by a certain individual, including that crazy-ass tweet about Rudy Gobert saying all those things. Like, you're reporting that, saying that that's actually like, hey, this has been said. That's the other thing that was crazy to me yesterday. I couldn't believe that.
That an organization like KSL is writing an article on a random, and look, I don't know Sean O'Connell personally. He is, my interactions with him have been very cordial.
Yeah.
But he's a fight guy. He covers fighting for a living.
And he's damn good at it.
And he tweets out almost immediately. I can tell you that the people we talked to yesterday laughed at that. Like, that tweet has zero credibility.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
Like,
you're not that guy.
The people at the Jazz I talked to laughed at that. People like Rudy's agent aggressively said.
Well, how many times did you get asked if you knew him yesterday? I mean, it had to be like 5-6 times that people were like, hey, do you know this guy? Like,
the funny thing is, people at the Jazz, everybody was like, who is this guy? Do you know this guy? I'm like, yeah, he's a radio guy here. And I didn't know what Sean was doing until we went and looked him up. I guess he works at he does a show for the Fight Channel on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy. This was a huge mistake.
Was it though? See, here's the fascinating part of this conversation. But was it though? Because he can afford to tweet something like that because he's not trying to be, Jazz expert guy. And what happened? His name was trending all day on Twitter.
Yeah, I guess it was good for him then. I don't know.
I mean? But that's the world we live in. That's what I'm curious about.
But is that a good thing? I guess it is.
I think it's good and bad.
When Rudy Gobert comes out and laughs at you on Twitter,
that's not good.
That's not a good thing.
Good, dude. And when your credibility is getting racked through through the league and everything, that's not good. But at the same time, now people are going to figure out what you do, and you'll probably get a pop in listenership. So that's the world we live in. So I just thought that, again, when all of this was going down yesterday, I just was sitting here kind of digesting it, and I was like, man, this is dynamic from many different angles. Like the stuff about, us having information and not having credentials to this guy tweeting that stuff and whether that's good or bad. Also coming to understand that certain individuals watch our show that you definitely would know, as you were saying. Like, the whole thing was just insane. And that's why I say, like, we don't, and we're working on putting out a video, like a highlight package of the things we've reported, because a lot of people are like, well, what have you reported? So we're going to try and put that together. But the thing I would say is we just don't report stuff that's like not true or that there's any question about. If we're going to report it, it's definitely going to be credible.
We've done a lot of legwork before we just throw it out there. It is. Yeah. And that's the thing that I guess that's my message that I want people to understand is that, this is not something that we take lightly. There's a lot of effort that goes into the show. There's a lot of effort that goes into the things that we do. But I want people to know, like, I think it's important that fans understand what's happening. I think our business is very much reliant on public perception and really good media, really good journalism. And I think there is no good journalism around this team. Like, I think Again, I will just say, I think the only guy worth a daily read here is Tony Jones on the Jazz. I think he does a really good job. I think the Salt Lake Tribune is embarrassingly bad. I think it is for the number one paper, that is supposedly the leader in sports news in this town. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I've talked about this on the show. I canceled my subscription to the Tribune when Andy Larson made up that shit about Donovan Mitchell in the Dallas bench.
Well, and I think what's
that was
happened.
That was the end of the road for me.
In following the Jazz and following those people on Twitter and sort of watching the dynamic, generally speaking, not just here, like this is a media thing. This is very standard for the industry. You have a group of probably 4 or 5 people who cover each team that travel everywhere together. Now, they work for different outlets, but you become essentially, a family at that point because you're just with them every day. That's just how it works. But I think when there's a certain line you can't cross, you can't get so comfortable in what you do that you're lacking discipline or you're not doing, you're just not working at the quality or the level that you'd want to be working in. And that's what I think, honestly, has happened, because it's only one of two things. You've either gotten comfortable or you just weren't good at it to begin with, and that's just what it is.
Or nobody's holding you accountable to it.
Yeah, precisely.
I think that's the hard part for me is I look at, Sarah Todd at the Des News does a decent job. I don't particularly have an issue with Sarah. I don't know her at all. The guys at KSL in the Zone, what are you expecting to get there?
Yeah.
What are you expecting to get there? You're not going to get hard journalism from KSL. I think we already know that. You're certainly not going to get any opinion of note from the Zone.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's arguable that Spence Checketts does the best Jazz radio coverage here. But, Spence has to be your slice of life. You have to enjoy his style, and certain somebody
I have no problem saying it. I respect
does not
the guy.
like
I respect
Spence's
the guy.
style.
I'll come out and say it. I'm a 28-year-old male in Salt Lake. I don't enjoy the pace.
We were driving around on Friday. We went to go pick up some parts for the Jeep at 4 Wheel Parts up in Salt Lake.
Which, by the way, this thing's going to be a beast. Just make sure you keep up with that. That thing is going to be ridiculous.
The Jeep is. I'm excited about that. But anyway, here and there. We went up to 4 Wheel Parts in Salt Lake City to pick up some parts for the Jeep. And we're driving home, and I flipped on Spence because I don't listen to, I think Unrivaled is one of the worst radio shows I've ever heard. That thing is, that is a steaming pile on the grass in the backyard. That is a steaming pile. That is not good. But anyway, here and there, we flipped on Spence's show, and Jake's like, I cannot. Can we just? I can't.
The thing is,
I can't. I cannot.
Dude,
no.
It's not that the takes are bad.
And the best part was I got to the point where I was like, he went into RSL, right? That's the real issue. We wanted Jazz reaction. He went into RSL. And so I flipped it off. I turned on music, and he's like, thank you. Because I can't. No, I can't. Jake had a mini Spence meltdown in the rig driving back from 4 Wheel Park.
My biggest critique just would be not that the topic selection is crap, because it's not. I understand that if you're on the radio here, RSL is a conversation. You basically got to cover the spectrum. I respect the hell out of that. I'm not saying he should just do Jazz, but what I'm also saying is the pace of the show is just way too slow. It is not dynamic. It feels like, to me, and maybe, hey, like you said, it's got to be your cup of tea, right? But my cup of tea is, I'm not saying you got to be moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, but I want dynamic conversation. I want a trading of opinion. And that's why I say, and we didn't even prepare this conversation, but I'm more than happy to say it again. There's not somebody in the radio world that I'm like, boom, I got to listen to that person every single day.
No, certainly not here. There's not.
But I just mean, generally speaking, the only guy that I can do for days on end, and it's like a half hour at a time, is a Rome or even Cowherd for 15 minutes. There's not somebody.
Well, even Pat McAfee, I listen to a lot. You don't listen to much talk. I listen to a ton of talk radio. There's a burnout factor with Pat McAfee because it's just so off the reservation. Joe Rogan it's just so off the
I
reservation.
still struggle with Joe. I still struggle with the whole, vax sort of situation that went down.
So off the reservation.
Yeah, I just struggle with that still.
Anyway, here nor there, not to get too far away.
Yeah.
But the point is, I think you need to be really careful, and you need to hold people accountable for the things they say about the Jazz. And I just don't know what the upside for Sean O'Connell in tweeting that was. I don't. I guess he wanted the attention. I'm sure he picked up 1,000,001 Twitter followers if that's what he was after. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I just think that it goes to show you how thirsty this town is and this fan base is for real news about the Utah Jazz because there is none.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real issue. And you know what?
Yesterday?
I hope there's validity behind that tweet.
Yesterday, the other thing I said was, if we ever get a credential to this team, this town's done.
Which I wouldn't want. I just think frankly, I don't have enough hours in the day for this. You know what I mean? I don't need it. I really don't need it. It would be nice to have access to players and, to Justin Zanuck, Danny Ainge, Quin Snyder, but what are they going to tell you?
Oh, it's not. It's not
what
what
are they
going to
tell you?
It's not what they're going to tell us. It's the quality of the coverage. That's the thing.
And the issue really is that you wind up in a situation where you get limited because they want to be phobic about it, for lack of a better word. They don't want the truth out there. They want box scores and, hey, well, the high pick and roll, and if we could make this adjustment, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want you talking basketball.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But a couple other things, again, just to clarify what we reported straight away. Rudy Gobert has not demanded a trade at this point. Rudy Gobert has not said it's Donovan Mitchell or me. He has not said that. We've been told that by everybody. He's not said that. From what I understand, there is an ongoing dialogue. Tony Jones tweeted yesterday that Rudy and his agent have not had an exit interview with the Jazz at this point. I was told point blank yesterday that the conversation between the Jazz and Rudy's camp is ongoing. That Rudy had a cordial, kind of bro hug with Quin Snyder to end the season. They had a very cold, unemotional exit. One of the things that nobody's talking about is the Jazz didn't do a locker room cleanout day. And if you don't know what that is, it's where hey, we lost, the season's over. Generally the next day or the day after that, they will all show up. The media will be there. They'll be cleaning out their lockers, talking to the media. They'll pack their shit and they'll leave.
Yeah.
That's generally what happens.
Yeah.
Happens in every market. It's happened every year I've ever covered the NBA.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
I've been to a ton of them.
Yeah.
The Jazz just decided not to do that. No, we're not doing that.
Why would they decide not to do that?
Because they don't want to talk to the media. They don't want to talk to the media. And why don't they want to talk to the media? Because there's too much fire. There's too much dislike of each other. There's too much. And you know what the other real issue here is that the Jazz are not good talking to the media.
Wow.
They're not good at talking to the media at all.
That's fair.
And it is one of these things where the Jazz just the Utah Jazz don't want to be accountable. They want to fly under the radar and have full autonomy of their messaging. And I think it was some cowardly BS that they did that. I mean, it is, again, it's just that there is a lack of accountability with this team in the media.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you sit up there and you do a gangbang like a press conference. That's all cool. But you need guys, I want to know one-on-one. I want those questions asked and answered. I want to know, hey, how bad were things this year in this locker room?
Yeah.
But is Donovan doing interviews? He's not. He's at the Mets game. Is Rudy doing interviews? He's not. He's beekeeping. Is Quin doing interviews?
He's beekeeping.
With his face, apparently.
Oh.
Is Quin doing interviews? No. By the way, the news came out yesterday. Quin Snyder's having hip replacement surgery today.
Yeah.
That's going to delay his timeline. And by the way, again, somebody on Twitter asked me if Quin was going to do an exit interview. There is no such thing as an exit interview for Quin Snyder. Quin is essentially, he's on level with Justin Zanuck.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his exit interview is daily.
Dude, the job doesn't stop for players. They get an off season of sorts.
Yeah.
But like for coaches and front office staff, the job doesn't stop. It's a year round thing.
Yeah, no, it does not stop. So, like, I just think that this is going to be a process.
Yes.
And I think it will be interesting to see what happens, but I don't think that you should expect Rudy Gobert to be traded tomorrow. It does not work that way. Rudy Gobert is likely around the draft going to be traded. That would be the timeline that I would estimate. I think those trade conversations are happening right now. Absolutely. Danny Ainge is on the phone. Justin Zanuck is on the phone, and they're talking to guys.
Yeah.
That's the nature of this beast.
Yeah.
But there is under no circumstance going to be a Rudy Gobert trade tomorrow. Like, it's not, okay, I want to be traded. All right, well, cool. Why don't you go hang out in the locker room? I'll make some calls and get you traded. Like, it doesn't work that way. And everybody is expecting, like the Quin Snyder to the Lakers stuff. I don't think he's going to the Lakers. He will not be the next head coach of the Lakers. To me, that's not the Charlotte Hornets. He's not going to be the next head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. Like, I think Quin Snyder, there's one or two options. He either returns and coaches the Jazz next year in the final year of his contract. Because the other thing that I heard the other day that I trust the person who's telling me that is that Quin Snyder did not sign a contract extension, that he was offered a contract extension over last summer and he turned it down, and he wanted to wait. And I will again tell you point blank, there is some erosion of desire in Quin Snyder. He is struggling with the want to right now because the last 2 years have been soul crushing for him. He has physically had issues. He has had, I believe this is his second hip procedure. He has had issues physically, and it has been a real grind for him. The losing is a real grind for him. And I think I feel like there's still a pretty good chance he takes a year off. He resigns his head coaching job with the Jazz. If you're asking me what the most likely scenario is, well, shit, I'm going to say that he's going to return and coach the Jazz next year.
Yeah.
But is there a real good chance? If that's 51%, is there a 49% chance that Quin resigns and takes a year off? Yes, there is. I don't know what Quin's going to do.
Yeah.
My honest opinion is he resigns and takes a year off. I think that's the most likely scenario. If I were a betting man, he comes back and coaches the Jazz next year. If my money's not on the line, I think Quin takes a year off because I think there's some burnout there. I think the guy is a multimillionaire. Money's never going to be an issue for him.
Yeah.
I think Quin Snyder, if he had his way, he would take a break because Quin Snyder's quickly turning into Jerry Sloan, where his coaching career is going to end and then he is not going to have a life. And I think Quin is reticent to turn into that guy. And he's got a family. He's got young children. I think Quin would like to take a year off. I do. I think he'd love nothing more than to disappear for a year. And then I don't know what. I think Quin would like to be the next head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. I do. I think that's very, very appealing to him. I don't think he'd like to be the next head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. I don't believe that. I don't. I mean, yeah. And the Laker thing has always been laughable to me. That's always been laughable to me. So, is what it is. Let's get some comments in here. Where do I even begin here? Good job. Hey, we appreciate you guys commenting every morning. Thank you. Greg Hawkins, good morning to you. Edgar Garcia, what's up? Dodgers versus Giants tonight. Gonna be fire. Cubs Sox tonight. Greg Hawkins says, Jeremy Bolton, hey, brother. Haha. Because Jeremy Bolton said, sup, Greg. McKay Brown says, Rudy's gone. Maybe. I think I felt that way for several months. The Jazz will trade him. Jeremy Bolton says, congrats on finishing the movie, Greg. Greg's a stud. Neville93 says, good morning to the best morning show in America. Well, you ain't wrong. A. Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
Appreciate you, Neville. Zach Boren says, what do you think the chances are the Utah entertains the Marcus Smart trade package again? I think Marcus Smart winning the Defensive Player of the Year does not help him get traded. And I also think that let's see what happens to Boston in this series. Because that was a little surprising that they got trucked by Milwaukee. Like, they got trucked. Yes. They got run over. So I think there's a lot up in the air. They're talking with Raphael Podcast says, good morning, casuals.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. The Blind Swordsman says, morning, boys. People are stupid. I cannot believe I fell for that rumor. Is what it is. Eric C says, morning, everyone. How we doing? By the way, how are we all going to feel if Rudy Gobert demands a trade and says that it's Don or me? Maybe Sean will be right. I don't know. We'll see. Eric C, good morning to you. Rudy Sanchez says, morning. James Knight says, good day, lads. Hey, have you sent my 4X gold yet?
Sitting here waiting.
James?
Sitting here waiting.
I'm thirsty. Tanner Plummer says, hey, guys, so last night I was talking with some Jazz fans on Twitter. They said that even if the Jazz came up to Don and said, we're going to build around you, he still wouldn't be fully committed to Utah. Well, I think they told him that. Why is it a problem for Jazz fans that Donovan Mitchell won't commit the rest of his life here? Why is that at all an issue for you?
What do you want the guy to say? That you want him to put some arbitrary window on it, like, hey, I'm going to be here the next 5 years, or like what? It's just not how it works.
I don't understand this theory.
There's too much up in the air, like with the Rudy situation, or like with even if you look at the Mike Conley situation or Bogey, like those guys with where they're at in their career, there's too much up in the air, and Don's not going to sit around and sit on his hands and hope for the best. That's just not who he is.
The thing that I've never understood is this thing with Gordon Hayward, this thing with Darren Williams, this thing with Carlos Boozer, this thing with all the guys who leave here and go on to suck somewhere else because none of them were successful when they left.
Facts.
Why is it so hard to understand that guys want to win? Guys want to get paid. I don't understand, why is it a problem that Donovan Mitchell says, hey, it's not that I want to leave the Jazz, but I want to win a championship. I'm happy to commit to you for this extension through 2026, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
If we're not winning, I'm leaving. If there's no chance to win a championship, why should Donovan Mitchell stay? To placate fans? What are fans doing for him? Don's not playing for the money. He's playing for the legacy. That's what this generation is about. There are guys, they make so much money now, they don't play for the money anymore. Yeah, I mean, you get the bag once you're in high school and college now with NIL. You're making so much money. Is Zion Williamson playing for money? Zion Williamson hasn't needed money since high school, man. Like you look at him, look at Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell didn't have the NIL luxury. But now he's into his second contract in the NBA. He's never going to care about money. He's got a shoe deal. Mm-hmm. Like the guy's not ever going to care for money, need for money. It's hopefully, right? But why are you going to crucify him the way you have Gordon Hayward? You would have honest to goodness, help me understand this. You'd have made a different choice if you were Gordon Hayward. You really would have done something different than he did. You would have passed on an opportunity to go and play for a historically good franchise who was offering you the moon to come and play in Boston. You wouldn't have gone there.
Come on, man.
Should you be upset about the blog getting released early? Sure you should. But you really hate Gordon Hayward because he went to the Boston Celtics?
Apparently.
Like, that is so ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that you would hate Gordon Hayward. I don't understand that. I just truly do not understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of perplexing. I mean, I think people don't have that conversation through that angle. Like, hey, if you were in his shoes, what would you have done? Can you honestly say that you would have stayed with the Jazz on your current contract, or you would have probably gone to Boston and taken all that money and hoped for the best? I mean, nobody planned for him to obliterate his ankle joint. Nobody plans that, but that's what happened. So it is what it is.
All I'll say again is blame Dennis Lindsey, blame the Jazz, blame Gail Miller for allowing him to become an unrestricted, allowing him, to take restricted free agent visits.
Yeah.
That's when you can never let your woman go make out with another guy.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
Don't let him go and check out the grass on the other side of the fence. That's what the Jazz did. It's not Gordon's fault. Anyway. If Don leaves and he leaves because he wants to win a championship, if he wins a championship here, he should be able to do whatever he wants. If they're not close to winning a championship, I'd leave too. I know it's shocking. Somebody would actually leave Utah? Come on.
Whoa.
Be realistic about it.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. Personally, I disagree with them, Tanner says. They said the Rockets tried to build around Harden, and yet Harden still left. No. You're comparing... Oh, see, this is what I can't stand, this kind of foolishness. James, did you see James Harden last night? He can't even get along with Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, Jake showed me a video this morning of Tyrese Maxey refusing to sit next to James Harden on the Rockets bench. Like, you're really comparing Donovan Mitchell to James? This is one of the dumbest things I've heard. Seriously. Eric C. said that, I think if Don saw the team really built around, get more athletic, a true number 2 running mate on offense, Don would be convinced. I don't think he would leave.
And I don't think he's trying to leave. That's the thing.
No.
Like, I mean, I don't know how many days in a row we're going to have to say, like, hey, he's not trying to leave.
Jeremy Bolton says, even watching the Suns big score 20-plus just goes to show how much of a liability Rudy is on offense. Rudy can't do crap with the ball. Exactly right.
Yeah, dude.
DeAndre Ayton, who is not the greatest center we've ever all seen, the guy can barely catch the ball. He scored 25 points last night with free throw line jumpers.
And did it within their offense.
Yeah. It's crazy how divided Jazz fans are on with regard to who they'd rather have. It really is almost 50-50 between Don and Rudy, which is crazy. Crazy. Jeremy, Blind Schwartzman says, Jeremy Bolton, well, the fact that the Jazz said Don, they need to deal with the fact that it is Don. Okay, that's not bad. BB says, totally agree. The media in Utah needs to report better. I find it amusing that people want to develop Rudy's offensive game, James Knight says. It just won't happen. He is what he is. He's not capable of developing a low block game. I tend to agree with that.
Yeah. And I think that's the tough part. Like, I think, like I was just saying earlier in the show, if I was Rudy Gobert, what I would be trying to do is I wouldn't even be trying to develop a back to the basket game. You're too late in the timeline to do that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to just develop a simple 5-foot push shot. Like, just a little push shot. Just get a little, because all you need for that to go in reliably is touch. Because if you can just get it to the rim, most of the time that's going to go in because of the angle and how tall he is and the arc on the ball. Like, it's going to go in a pretty high percentage
amount of time. Who's a lower end center? Nikola Vucevic is not that good of a player. He's an elite offensive player compared to Rudy Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
Shout to Mo Bamba.
No, stop. Well, wow, I'm going to say this. Mo Bamba's a better offensive player than Rudy Gobert.
Shout to Mo Bamba.
Because he can shoot. He has, like, if you gave Rudy Gobert Nikola Vucevic's offensive game,
we wouldn't be here. They'd still be on the court.
Erich Tavares says Rudy has a decent free throw shot. He could have developed that quick jumper close to the free throw line. You're getting paid that much. Why not try to develop it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just give me a free throw line jumper. Give me a middle of the paint little push shot. That'd be great. BB says, that's why I watch the Monty morning actual Jazz talk. Thank you. Jackson says, shoot, I'm on a burner right now.
For real.
Hey, Jackson Gobert, welcome to the show. Dop Hop says, I've always thought it was other people sending players things like, look what they're saying about you. Shake my head. I just don't see them scrolling, but that's just me.
Oh, no, dude. They
do. Because Twitter makes that possible. If you just go and enter any player's name on Twitter, Rudy, Don, like anybody,
Kevin Durant,
all the tweets come up about them. So it's not that difficult. Luisito Diaz. Okay, welcome to the show. Watch the first game of the Mavs versus Suns. I can say Jazz is not a championship level. The perimeter defense of the Suns is elite. Ayton is just finishing below the Jazz team. Well, I'm not going to blow the Jazz team. That's just not the way I tend to operate. Blowing dudes is... Anyway, we'll move on. Jeremy Bolton says Suns are going to sweep the Mavs. He said blow the Jazz team. I'm not doing that.
That's it, Skippy.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I have moral standards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Blow the Jazz. He meant to say blow the team, but
he said blow the Jazz, and it kind of comes together. I mean, I didn't mean it like that. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Blow. JP Shanahan says morning. Jackson says, I don't believe the Sean O'Connell tweet. I don't think he cares enough to make something up.
You're casual.
I don't disbelieve. Yeah, I don't know why Sean would make that up. My guess is somebody said that to him. Somebody said that to him, and he's like, oh, hey, let me tweet that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't, people love to, the people are like, oh, you made that up, liar. And okay, well, ask yourself, why would anybody make that up?
Yeah.
Like, stop and ask yourself that question. Why would anybody make that up? I don't think he lied or made it up. I think he heard it from somebody. I think it's a game of telephone. That's what I think. I don't know. Luisito Diaz says, watch the first game of the Mavs. You already said that. I don't know why you said that. Frank H says, Quinn is having the surgery today, wishing him a speedy recovery. Guys.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
BB says.
Hey, guys.
Guys.
Hey, guys.
The Jazz are a family. Ha! Do much so they say nothing about Matt Harpring. Am I the only one that noticed that it was like he did not ever play for the Jazz and then joined the broadcast team family? Well, now he's gone. Got it. I'm going to say something that is going to make you probably die.
Oh, boy.
I miss Matt Harpring on the broadcast. I do. Holly Rowe is so bad that I miss Matt Harpring on the broadcast. I miss Matt Harpring.
Because it's garbage.
I know.
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I you know.
I know.
Next question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Kyrie. Thanks.
Leonard Donin Endelove says, we back. Love the show. Thank you, LDN.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ Destroys Atheism says, the Jazz are building around Donovan. That's well known. I believe Rudy may well be traded for the right multiple pieces with a 3-team deal, and I believe 5 players will be traded.
God bless.
Okay. I also think, Tanner says, I also think the reason why Checkitz wasn't talking about the Jazz was because people are getting sick of the Jazz. I believe there's Jazz burnout in Utah. I think that's not the case at all. I think that this offseason is incredibly important.
Dude, this is the most relevant offseason in like 5 years.
This is a historically important offseason for this Utah Jazz team. I think Ryan Smith, as an owner, has a lot to prove.
Keep it real.
Yeah, I think Ryan Smith has made an incredible amount of mistakes. A lot of mistakes.
Not one that's big enough yet to call him a failure, though. He's not there yet. He's not there yet.
Well, this Mike Conley extension.
Yeah, yes and no.
That is a huge mistake.
The reason I say yes, I agree it's a huge mistake. I wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, the reason he can get away with it is because at the time when it happened, because that's what you have to do. Hey, at the time when it happened, a lot of people were saying bring Mike back. A lot of people were like, hey, we could run it back.
But that's why you're not a good owner.
Well,
when you're listening to public opinion, that's a problem.
Well,
that's a problem. See,
but like, who was he listening to? He was listening to Zanuck, essentially. That's who he was listening to. I mean, you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that, you know, Dwayne Wade is sitting here saying bring Mike Conley back or whatever. Like, I think
the thing that's amazing to me, and it happens every day in sports. Mike Conley is always hurt, always, and you're looking at a guy that's like 74 years old, and you're like, yeah, should I give this guy $21 million a year?
It's a playoff game.
Like in the $60 million range total. Should I do that? Well, you know, sir, Mr. Smith, you are paying the luxury tax, and it'll cost you a ton of money. Okay, let's do it. I'm a billionaire.
Go ahead and try me then.
Like, who's the no man here?
there isn't one.
That was a big mistake, and we talked about that when it happened, that it was a mistake, right? Like just rubber stamping the Rudy Gobert extension. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? Oh, well, you know, public opinion, and who cares what the public opinion is? Make the best basketball decision.
Yeah.
You paid a guy $41.5 million not to score for you.
Well, and maybe he was relying on Dennis Lindsey at the time too.
He was.
Like,
you can't, and I just think that the answer should have been, well, you know, we need to wait on this. I need to get in and get my hands on the ball club, and you know, let's evaluate everything as you know that's happening, and let's talk about this over the summer.
yeah.
Oh, but we'll lose Rudy. Well, that's a risk we're going to have to take at this point.
I don't think that Ryan's that guy.
He should be.
Yeah.
And he should be. Ryan Smith has to show me that he has got fortitude, because this job takes balls, man.
Yeah.
It is not easy to do. It is not easy to win an NBA championship, and that's the only goal he should have. And
Well,
and
that's
not,
the only goal that the organization has claimed they have.
and not putting out terrible new uniforms next year. God, please change your mind on that.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. I'm begging you. Anyway, point is, I think Ryan Smith has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
He has a lot to prove. And Ryan, I don't think he probably listens to our show, but
Well, after yesterday, I wouldn't, can't say he doesn't.
please don't listen to what the public opinion is. Turn off what your fans think.
Yeah.
That's what the best owners do. They do it, and they live with the consequences of those decisions. Make decisions that are hard. Make decisions that are the right decision, not because people will be upset, but because it's the right decision.
Fucking A.
There you go. I feel better. Tanner says, comment dump. Tanner says, I don't blow men. LOL, what Book and Justin Herbert, Monty? What about Book and Justin Herbert? Listen.
Pause, bro. Pause.
Dude, did you see Devin Booker last night? You'd blow Devin Booker too. Tell me I'm
I'm a
wrong.
fucking unit.
He almost dropped Luka Doncic last night. And then pulled up for a mid-range shot. Don, you watching? He pulled up for a mid-range shot. By the way, now, everybody said, oh, Monty, you're, no homo, but you love yourself some Devin Booker.
Uh-huh.
Is he better than Donovan Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay, how many people? I'll wait. I'll just sit here and wait for you.
Like I'm booked.
I'll cross my arms and wait for the apologies. Go ahead.
Apologies.
Go ahead, guys. I mean, go put them in the comments. Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Oh, Donovan's better.
No, I'm good.
Go ahead and apologize.
No.
All of you.
Nope.
Fucking
Nope.
assholes.
Can't do it.
Anyway. And Garcia said, we keep talking about Rudy development, but on the flip side, Donovan, here we go. Because
So on brand.
why can't we just talk about one guy at a time? Why do we have to? We've been talking about Donovan's mid-range game. Why do we have to talk? Why do we have to compare Donovan to Rudy? Can we not do that? Can we not do that? They're
Apparently
two
not.
different players that play two totally different positions.
Mm-hmm. Can't do it, I guess.
I don't understand that. Great. Harpring was very good. Was very hard-nosed, excuse me. And Garcia says Harpring was very hard-nosed. Grayson could have been our new Harpring. Well, but you had to have Mike Conley. I mean, you want
This man was a bona fide
You know.
scrub.
Anyway, Tanner says, I miss Harpring too. I actually never disliked Harpring. Well, I disliked Harpring. He's just like much less vomit-inducing than Holly Rowe and stuff.
Yeah.
Leroyden Heslop. Okay. Hey, Leroyden. Turn off what the fans think except on the jersey because those suck.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're terrible.
They're
dude.
terrible.
They are brutal.
Welcome to the show with a good take. Talking with Raphael podcast says we should tag everyone in Utah Jazz staff and players to this video.
Do it.
You should.
Please.
Reach Tavera says, imagine if Gobert's contract was $22 million a year, Conley $14 million. What could the Jazz have done? Oh
Donnie,
my God.
please.
Oh my God. With what
It's
is that?
almost
20,
sickening, dude.
$27 more million a year?
It's sickening.
Whew. No way Donovan is better, but the Jazz aren't better than Phoenix.
Agreed.
No way Donovan is better.
Don's
but
not
the
better than
Jazz
Book.
Aren't better than the no. They're
Don's not better than Book, and the Jazz aren't better than Phoenix.
No. Booker is better now because he has the right players around him. There's some in that, but he has taken a huge step in his offense.
Yeah.
And by the way, his defense has gotten much better as well. And I think that's a huge missing piece in Donovan's game. His defense, and he's got to come up. That shot last night on the baseline by Book is quintessential Devin Booker. Like he can shoot the three and he can shoot the mid-range, and he dunked on guys last night. Donovan isn't doing that. Donovan's not doing that.
Yeah.
So if Rudy was to go to the Hornets, what would a real good buzz about that since he loves bees? Kawhi's laugh playing in the background.
Do you see what he did there?
Yeah, see.
So it was
So he-
buzzing and bees and
And then he called for a drop.
yeah.
Like, 'cause
See,
Rudy got-
he made the show better.
Yeah, he got bitten on the face, stung on the face by a bee.
Yeah.
So the Hornets.
See, you see how that all kind of plays together?
Synergy.
Yeah.
P, P and the V and stuff, That's well done. Donovan doesn't blame mascots for missed free throws.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Donovan also doesn't play in the Western Conference Final.
Damn.
Hey-oh. Oh, my effing God. His defense went from horrible to subpar, Monty. Stop blowing no Mamba. Okay.
Here we go.
I didn't say
Here
Donovan's
we go.
defense got better. I said Devin Booker's defense got better.
Let's settle this right now.
It got better. Big Dog O-Town said, love me some Grayson on the Jazz. Hated him in college. Nobody on this squad with his toughness. That's why you need the Draymond, Grayson Allen, Jay Crowder. You need that. You need the PJ Tucker.
Shout to Mo Bamba.
You need somebody to kick Luka in the balls. Like, you need JaVale McGee. You need...
How about JaVale McGee last night? Stealing it from Luka, going coast to coast.
One-on-one defense, stripped Luka Doncic, and then ran down the floor and dunked on Jalen
Rudy's
Brunson.
not doing that. Just telling you now. It's not happening.
That was pretty good.
With all due respect to Rudy.
Book ain't got a ring yet, James Knight says.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely right.
He's been in the NBA Finals, though.
Wonder what airport Caruso is going to get arrested in this offseason, Jeremy Bolton says. It's a good question. James Knight says, Monty, stop.
So that's how it's going to be.
Let's not do that hack Draymond. I didn't say to get Draymond Green. I said you need those characteristics.
Are you guys just aren't listening today, are you? I mean that's just what it is. I mean,
it's
you're
afternoon.
like speaking Russian, huh?
I actually think it's evening in Australia right
James, what time is it? Have you cracked a beer open? Are you sitting on the couch right now?
now. Well, he's probably drinking our 4X Summer Gold.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
Cameron Slater says the Jazz are too small, bro. 2 6'1" guards and non-athletes at the 3. Who guards on this team? That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Real quick on the Suns and Mavs. Do the Mavs win a game in this series?
Yes. 1.
I think it's a 5-game series.
Yes. 1 game at home.
And the reason it's a 5-game series is because Cam Johnson looks healthy.
Yeah, he's knocking down that 3 at a pretty good rate right now.
Stop! By the way, would you have sex with Cam Johnson?
Okay.
Never mind.
Why would you?
Donnie, you're out of your
Yeah,
element.
like what kind of question is that? What am I supposed to say to that?
You're a huge Cam Johnson guy.
Yeah, I like his fro. What's the problem?
Which bro?
Yeah, I mean you're infamous for tokening the term pube fro. So you know, like come on.
Well, am I wrong?
Come on, let's go, Schlep Rock.
No, I'm not answering that question.
I'm just saying. Anyway, Cam Johnson's a stud. I just think, yeah. Now, I'm not reading direct messages. Send your message to YouTube.
Well, why do you think they think you're reading direct messages?
I don't know. Last night, interesting to note that Luka had 45 points, 15 of 30 from the floor, 4 of 11 from 3. And they lost. That's amazing because Jalen Brunson didn't go off for 50. He had 13 on 6 of 16 for 13 points. Oof.
That's rough.
Oof. But how about Kleba? Again, 5 of 8 from 3. Then again, every Phoneix Suns starter and really anybody who played major minutes had a big night. Cam had 17. Chaboa had 17. Book 23. 8 and 25. Like that team is so balanced.
Yeah.
I think this is probably their last best shot to win a championship. And I think if they can stay healthy, because as you pointed out in the vaunted pre-show meeting,
behind the scenes,
where we watch TikTok videos, you pointed out that everybody's one injury away.
Everybody.
And I think it is interesting. Chris Paul looks as young as he's ever looked.
This is the best he's looked in quite some time. And I'm talking about Clipper Chris Paul. Definitely talking about Houston Rocket Chris Paul. Like
yes.
Chris looks good. And again, I want them to stay healthy. I would love to see a Suns Bucks rematch, except the Suns are fully healthy. I would love to see that because I think that's the series that we deserve as fans. But
and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson are better players now.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So,
I hate the Bucks.
I mean, imagine Bridges versus Middleton. Like that's an insane matchup.
And Chris
dude.
Middleton's out. By the way, they demolished Boston without Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
He's got this, knee injuries. So
yeah, like he's working through that. But my point is if they were to get to the NBA Finals, he would most likely return.
Yeah, because he's got it. That's a month away.
I mean, you got time.
Yeah. So I do think it's interesting though that this Suns team has matured and grown. I mean, they are a better team. I mean, I also really I I don't think we've seen the best in Golden State. I don't think we've seen the best from the Warriors. I truly don't. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they look like, because if you look at that series is tonight at 7:30, and Bucks Celtics game 2 is tonight. I think it's very interesting Jordan Poole's role on that Warrior team. I mean, they have some interesting parts that are really producing. I actually think Andrew Wiggins is giving them important minutes. I think Kuminga the other night was really important for a small stretch.
Yep.
Like, they're getting
Again, they have a good
contributions.
dynamic. They have a rotation. They got guys that know their role, like Kuminga.
But you have Steph Curry blocking Ja Morant at the rim.
Oh, yeah. The defense, the Warriors, and this is the big misnomer about the Warriors. Everyone thinks that they win on the 3-ball. They don't win on the 3-ball, right? They win on the defensive end that turns into the 3-ball. And that's the thing. The dagger Curry or the dagger Klay Thompson shots come off of great defense. So that's why I say, like, everyone's saying, because I took some heat for saying that the Warriors would be there, you know, when Klay had just come back, and everyone was like, oh, well, they got injuries, and Jordan Poole is not quite that guy yet, but now they're here. And that's what I'm saying, like, they're a team you have to respect. They can keep up with Memphis. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I really like Golden State. I really like Phoenix, but, oh, Gabe. If water is still wet, then we know what's looming for Chris Paul, Gabe Ledley says.
Gabe, why would you say something like that?
But he's right. Water's wet, and Chris Paul is dropping his groin on the floor at Toyota Center in Houston, or breaking both hands, or...
Yeah.
I mean, how do you break both hands? Like, you're right. And you can only play at this pace and intensity for so long before it goes sideways, right? So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out.
Yeah.
But... man, I really like the way the Suns and Warriors are playing ball right now.
Yes.
I mean, it is. I never thought you would see Memphis struggle to play fast, physical basketball. And they struggled the other night against Golden State to play that physical style. And remember that's in Memphis.
I don't think people understand how strong Steph is. Like, because you watch him on TV, you don't have an appreciation for just how, like, go on the internet and look up Steph Curry offseason training and look at the transformation he went through. That guy is yoked for his position. Like, he is strong.
Yeah, I think they're not close to their best basketball. I just think they have a long way to go. David Morris says, Booker did nothing for Phoenix until CP3 took the pressure off. Well, actually, I think there's a combination of things. I would agree that having a really savvy player like Chris Paul helps Devin Booker. But a couple other things are at play there. Chris Paul allows Devin Booker to take possessions off. Devin Booker was having to be point book, and that never was a good thing for that club. When you are Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Booker, LeBron, Durant, you need possessions off. You need somebody else to have the ball. But the other thing that happened is that DeAndre Ayton's become a force.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges has become a force. Cam's become a force. Jay Crowder. Like, you have all these guys. Like, JaVale McGee's contribution to the Suns.
It's crazy.
Is really important, right? Like, you have depth, and you need that depth to carry you through series. Because the playoffs are very different in that you really don't get days off. You get rest in that you're not playing a game, but the wear and tear because of the intensity you play at in the playoffs is much more significant, which is why you see older guys like Chris Paul consistently getting hurt in the playoffs. And to me, this thing with Chris Paul and the Suns now, because Mikal Bridges has emerged so much, they're not reliant on Chris Paul anymore. I think Devin Booker has had time now to relax and become the superstar that he is. And Chris Paul has taught him how to leverage the mid-range game.
Yeah.
And you can see very clearly all of the Chris Brickley work that he puts in, the handle that Devin Booker is utilizing now, the ability to shoot off the bounce instead of having to be a set shot. Like, his bag is just much deeper now.
Yes.
Anyway, The point is,
I'm not humoring your jokes now. That's yeah.
Never.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Anyway, I think you're right. Chris Paul it took the pressure off of Devin,
Yeah.
but I also think it gave him some more room to grow. You know, like they bringing Chris Paul, like think about a plant in a small pot.
But this is what we talk about with Don. Like
stuff.
I agree that Devin has been permitted to take the next step. Yeah, because he's got a better supporting cast. But you also have to give him credit for all the work he puts in. I think those two just run hand in hand. But I also am definitely going to say that if Don had a better supporting cast, he'd be a better player.
Yes.
Like that's how the NBA works. But no players are going to make him want to work harder defensively. That's got to come from within. No players are going to help him improve his footwork in the mid-range. That's got to be intentional.
I also think bringing in somebody else who can take the load off,
Yes.
I think it makes everybody better.
Everybody in the playoffs right now has a guy that they run with.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well, and I think Chris Paul has made Mikal Bridges a better player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made Cam Johnson a better catch and shoot guy like he has. Erich Tavera says the only player like Steph from before was Reggie Miller. Oh, I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree, but Reggie was a bigger player, but I would agree with that. Gabe says Chris Paul has made a way bigger impact on Ayton than Book. Oh, for sure. For sure. The thing with DeAndre Ayton, he is that soft, physically soft, mentally soft guy. Monty Williams, told me several years ago that the biggest piece of development in DeAndre Ayton will be his mental toughness, because he wasn't a mentally tough guy and he wouldn't carry them.
Yeah.
He would find himself in foul trouble because he wasn't mentally tough and he wasn't a smart basketball player. And Chris Paul has taught him that.